Hey, what's up guys? UrAvgWarGamer is back with another video of World of Warships. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about two submarines. One is going to be US submarine, that is Gato. And the other submarine is going to be the German one, U-4501. And I'm going to be talking about some of the strengths and weaknesses that they have and which one is going to be better pick for you guys. I will definitely going to explain everything that you need to know for these submarines. So keep watching this video. And if you find this video interesting, valuable for you, definitely give me a good shout out, like, or even subscribe the channel. That would help me a lot as a YouTuber because I'm trying to make some good World of Warship videos and I'm going to be trying to help you as much as possible. So let's talk about the Gato first. So which is better is the question. And the answer is going to be pretty much depends upon your play style. The Gato is actually having some of the most interesting strengths that no one probably has right now, and that is its insane torpedo alpha damage. Now, Gato has 6 torpedoes that you can throw from the bow and 4 torpedoes that you can throw from the stern. It has 3 torpedo loaders, okay? Which means that 3 of the torpedoes will load in 46 seconds. So 6 torpedoes in general going to be loading in around 90-ish seconds, okay? So in 90 seconds, you have 6 torpedoes that will be loaded for the Gato, and 4 torpedoes will be loaded around pretty much similar 90 seconds as well. Because of the 2 loaders, it will definitely going to have at least double of the time. The more the loaders, actually, the better the torpedoes will load quickly. In the case of Gato, you will definitely going to have pretty decent reloading time of the torpedoes. You can see here, front 3 loaders, back 2 loaders. Now, the thing about the Gato is these torpedoes. Now, these torpedoes, unlike U-4501, which I will show you here, these torpedoes having, I would say, the alternate torpedoes, it does not have alternate torpedoes, by the way. U-4501 does not have alternate torpedoes. Gato has alternate torpedoes, which are probably the most powerful, hard-hitting torpedoes in World of Warships. Now, also one thing that you should be keeping in mind, whenever you shoot these torpedoes, they have a torpedo spread angle of only 1%. Which basically means that you basically throw these torpedoes on any battleship on the bow, if it is around 4 or 5 kilometers, and the torpedoes will not going to have that degree of variation, where you will just suddenly see that my torpedoes are going here and there, left or right and center. Like, all of the torpedoes are going to have a variation distance between 1 degree angle, and that's it, which is pretty significant. It literally means that if the lower angle, the better the dispersion of the torpedoes really is. And the torpedo dispersion with 1 degree is insane, okay? In the case of U-4501, that is not the case. The Gato has this insane strength, and the torpedoes hit the hardest with alternate torpedoes. And by the way, it also have homing torpedoes, which are only 6 kilometers, as you can see here, 10k damage, which is probably the highest damage out of all submarines at tier 10. I mean, even U-4501 does not have this level of torpedo damage that Gato has. It's pretty close, but still, Gato has pretty insane torpedo alpha damage, okay? And I probably have built the Gato with torpedo speed as well as torpedo damage in mind, which makes torpedo pretty absurd with 22 and almost 22k alpha damage with 16.5 kilometer range. So if you want to play it like a destroyer, if you want to play this submarine like a destroyer, you can surely do this. And with these torpedoes, they are probably more hard hitting than Gearing torpedoes, which is a tech-free, American destroyer, which is really nice. But the thing about the Gato is that while just getting into the periscope depth, you can easily able to launch these torpedoes and you just deal significant damage. You can even depth strike battleship if you able to get their broadsides. I mean, if you get around 4 or 5 kilometers, that's where these torpedoes will shine. But one thing that you should be remembering is that they have previously nerfed the shotgunning distance. Like, if any torpedo that you hit is going to be under 3 kilometers, they will deal only 10% damage. You can clearly see here, they're literally saying this. Torpedoes can only inflict maximum damage at long ranges. Torpedo damage is reduced at short ranges. So that threshold is going to be still 3 kilometers, not only for the Gato, for both of these set of torpedoes, but also for the U-4501. But as you can see that it also have acoustic homing torpedoes. Gato also has acoustic homing torpedoes as well as normal torpedoes. And that makes it a bit interesting compared to U-4501. Now, submarine surveillance is going to be pretty much similar in terms of their detection, which is 6 kilometers for both of them, as I can show you here. But other than that, U-4501 has some of the most absurd strengths that I would say I will explain compared to Gato. Now, the Gato is also really powerful. It has enhanced radar gears. If you use this consumable, you will just dive literally quicker than any submarine out there. Like, it's pretty crazy if you use this. So yeah, you will just have this diving plane shift time to be minus 20% or just ascent time to be plus 20%. So which is really valuable whenever you just want to disengage and want to get into the maximum depth if you get spotted by something. So this is pretty nice. But on the other hand, U-4501 has reserve battery unit, which means that even you have lost quite a lot of battery that you have already, which is 231 units. Other than that, you have extra battery unit, which actually helps a lot. And with the build that I have, reserve battery unit mod 1, which increases the battery duration by 20%. This reserve battery unit, it helps a lot. For 30 seconds, you will be sort of immune, and you can just stay underwater or whatever you want to do without losing out the battery, which is really nice. Then you have heal. Unlike Gato, which does not have heal, U-4501 does have heal. And hydrophones have a bit of a difference, which is kind of negligible. Like you will be able to have a glimpse of ships at 9 kilometers, whereas the U-4501 have a glimpse of ships at 8 kilometers. It's basically kind of similar. So there's nothing difference in that. But what is really makes U-4501 a lot powerful is going to be the underwater maneuverability. 37.8 knots, almost 38 knots of speed when you are at the maximum depth is something that no submarine has right now in World of Warships. And this gives some of the most ridiculous tactics that you can use in U-4501. You can just dive straight away at the start of the match. Okay, you just dive straight away and you just get into the enemy spawn without any enemy player able to spot you whatsoever. And you just farm them behind the enemy lines in their spawn. Is the most stupid thing you can do, but it's the most effective thing that you can try in U-4501. That is not the case with Gato. Gato has something else. It has really not good underwater maneuverability. That's where it absolutely sucks. But where does it shine is going to be the most insane speed at surface and at periscope depths, okay? So if I can show you the speed, look at that. 35.7 knots of speed is literally destroyer levels of speed that you have on a submarine. That is bonkers. That is just mind-blowing. And I mean, I don't know if I just use I use the speed flag, so it's 35.7 knots, and combined with the fact that you have enlarged propeller shaft that just kicks in whenever you have the battery, which is less than 50%, you increase the speed like plus 80%, 18%. It's gonna be around 42 knots maximum speed in Gato whenever your battery is 50% lower, or at least 50%, which is absolutely insane. 42 knots of speed, you're going towards a target, you're smashing them with these insane hard-hitting torpedoes, 22k alpha damage torpedoes. It's pretty much closer to the levels of IJN or Japanese destroyer torpedo damage. And then you also have these homing torpedoes that does insane damage with this insane speed. So Gato is really, really powerful, okay? But the U-4501 has another thing that I'm going to be talking about of these torpedoes, because I haven't talked about these torpedoes. Now, compared to Gato, U-4501 at least have something different. Its stern torpedoes are 6 compared to Gato's 4, and its bow torpedoes are 4 compared to Gato's 6, okay? The damage, the homing torpedoes usually have less damage, but it is still pretty respectable. Like 86 knots of speed is definitely less than these homing torpedoes of Gato. Like Gato have 93 knots of speed. With 2.4 kilometer detection, U-4501 has these torpedoes that has 86 knots of speed and having a pretty much similar detection of 2.2, like slightly better, but still. The homing torpedoes have interesting thing, like whenever you try to ping on an opponent, it has insanely big ping width, okay? Which basically means that if you're trying to get double pings on a target, you will be having a lot much more easier time in U-4501. I mean, you can just try to watch a couple of gameplays of U-4501. Its ping width is insanely larger than Gato, which leads to a lot much more double pings, which means that you will have a lot much more easier chance in landing those torpedoes that you want to land on cruisers or destroyers, because double ping is very powerful, right? You have a lot much more less chance of dodging those, since those torpedoes will home crazy on you. So yeah, with the ability of having this submerged speed and ability to get into the enemy spawn, which is kind of stupid and hilarious, but a lot of players can do that, it is sort of a nightmare to deal with. And especially with this insane submerged speed, like you just go maximum depth and you just basically bait destroyers. Destroyers cannot even catch you. It's insane, like really. But the Gato, on the other hand, if you manage to get to the broadside of battleships, you will be having insane time. Probably like battleships will be just like shock and awe. You will just literally depth strike battleship with these 6 torpedoes. That's how powerful Gato torpedoes really are. You can depth strike a 90,000 HP battleship that does have average torpedo protection. This is something that you can only get on Gato, not on U-4501. But U-4501 is going to be the pain that you cannot deal at all. And the thing about the Gato's dive capacity is pretty similar. You will lose 1 unit per second, but you will regain 1 unit per second almost. But U-4501 at least gain a lot much more better. It has a better recharge rate at 1.6 units per second. Even though the units might be almost similar, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, Gato has slightly better, U-4501 is slightly worse. But then U-4501 has emergency, or I would say reserve battery unit, as well as heal. Now heal, you should be remembering that you can only use them whenever you are at surface, okay? This is something that you should be knowing. You can see here, it's written down below, unavailable for use at periscope and at maximum depths. But again, you do have heal. Your HP, I haven't talked about the HP, is definitely lower because of these heals, okay? This is sort of a, thing that they have given to the submarine, that they have given him effectively slightly higher HP compared to the Gato if you use all the heals. But otherwise, Gato is going to be a lot much more powerful. So that's basically about the strengths and weaknesses that I want to talk. Sonar differences are not a whole lot. But one thing that you should be keeping in mind, that U-4501's the ping width you can see here, it's 15 meters. Gato has ping width is 18 meters. I don't remember. Like, is that the ping? I mean, if I'm not wrong, the ping width of the U-4501 is really gigantic. Maybe I just messed up with some of the numbers, but I mean, I will try to showcase you what I'm talking about. Alright, so this is what I was talking about, okay? So this is the ping width of U-4501, and this is the ping width of normal submarines. You can see here the difference is gigantic. And that's what I was talking about. The Gato does not have this insane ping width compared to U-4501. U-4501 has just insane width. That means that you can easily land double pings on a target. Also, one of the difference of U-4501 and Gato is going to be the concealment. Now, the concealment of U-4501 is definitely a lot impressive compared to Gato's only 5.8 kilometer. So, a lot of destroyers at tier 10 cannot spot U-4501, which means that you can just go unspotted by just diving into the periscope, whereas Gato will probably going to get spotted from a destroyer. So, this is something that you should be keeping in mind. So that's where U-4501 will definitely going to have a lot much better time. And if you ask me, in my opinion, I would say U-4501 is in general a lot easier for new players, because it basically have access to these really powerful 10-kilometer homing torpedoes. As you can see here, it has 10-kilometer torpedoes. You can see here it's written above. And these torpedoes will be easily landing if you get single ping or even double pings. Because of that ping width, you will have not a whole lot of problems using these torpedoes. Whereas in the case of Gato, it's going to be a lot difficult. It's a submarine that is really powerful, more powerful than U-4501. But then these torpedoes are not easy to use, especially after the short gunning nerf, okay? If you know what you're doing, then these torpedoes will be a lot powerful, but you have to switch in between these acoustic homing torpedoes and torpedoes in general, and you play them accordingly where the cruiser might be radaring or maybe hydroing you or not. So yeah, that is totally depends upon your play style. And definitely Gato is going to be a lot much having higher skill floor to use, and it's going to be a lot much more difficult to execute these attacks. But overall, if you ask me, I find it U-4501 a lot much more easier simply because of this reserve battery unit, and then you have this insane underwater speed, which basically makes a lot life easier. With this insanely good concealment, you will be having a lot much more easier time dodging destroyers as well. But the Gato is going to be a lot much more complicated. Not that complicated, because if you get spotted, you can get into the periscope depth, but then you will be spotted and getting farmed by a lot of plane-based depth charges. So that's what I want to talk about. I hope you find this video interesting and find this useful. Overall, I would say Gato is a lot powerful, but difficult to use. But U-4501 is a lot easier for newer players, but the damage might not be to the levels that you can pump from a Gato. I think that's pretty much what sums these two submarines, okay? Gato is really powerful, and the submarine, both these submarines are really powerful according to their strengths. But the potential of Gato is just absolutely insane. And U-4501 potential is not closer to the Gato, but then it's a lot easier to get good average damage, okay? So thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked this video and you find these submarines, probably you get some valuable information. And if you find this information useful, please let me know in the comments, and I will catch you guys into the next one. Peace out.